Does 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. on Wednesday work for you?
No. How about Thursday at 1 p.m.?
Sorry, I already have an appointment booked then. How about...
Stop. Does that conversation sound familiar to you? Because if it does, by the end of this video, that dialogue will be no more, because I'm going to show you how you can share your calendar with your clients so they can book a time slot best suited for them that the both of you can agree on the first time. And to do this, we will be using a platform called Calendly. This is hands down one of the best tools I have used in my business, and it's time that I stop gatekeeping and share this with you. So if you want to make your meeting life that much more easier, then keep on watching. Hi friends, it's Laressa, aka La to the R-E-S-S-A. Welcome back, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. This is a place on the internet where I help fellow real estate brothers and sisters like yourself keep it real estate, but more importantly, I show you how to create effective content for your business. And if you are a real estate agent looking to level up and scale your business, then lucky for you, because I am on the lookout for real estate business partners. So scan this code here to learn more about what partnership looks with me. Now, as mentioned, we are talking about Calendly, which is honestly the best tool I've used in my business thus far. Now, Calendly is an online appointment scheduling software that essentially allows you to streamline scheduling appointments. It's basically like a virtual assistant that is helping you to streamline appointment settings. So you don't have to go through the hassle of what I call volleyball dialogue with your clients. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you 1, how to set up Calendly, 2, how to connect your calendar to Calendly, and then 3, how to integrate a software like Zoom to Calendly, the differences between the free and paid version of Calendly, demonstrate to you how to actually use Calendly from the consumer's point of view, because that's really cool, and finally, share with you some ninja Calendly tips that I use that you need to implement into your business. So if you're ready, then let's get into it. Lego. So first things first, we obviously need to create a Calendly account. And so simply, you just want to go to calendly.com/signup. And for me personally, what I did was just sign up with a Google account, because that's super easy, that's super simple. So we're just going to walk through this right now. So let's go ahead and just sign up with Google. Click that. And then I'm going to use another account. All right, so once you have logged in to Calendly, you just want to give Calendly access to your Google account. And this is why I say it's the best thing to do to sign up with Calendly is directly with a Google account, because your Google account is already connected to your Google Calendar. So just hit allow access, and let's go ahead and do that. All right, so at this point, it's asking you to create your Calendly URL. The best thing I would do is just put your first name, last name. In this case, I'm just going to do Laressa is unavailable. Okay, we'll go back. We're just going to keep that for now, but ideally, if you can have your URL name as just your first name, last name, that's perfect. And then the time zone for me is Mountain Time, so it's probably already going to select that time zone for you, so I'm just going to hit continue. All right. Now what it's saying is it's going to check for any conflicts between connecting your Google Calendar and with Calendly, because essentially we want to make sure that Calendly is properly connected to our Google Calendar and is properly reading that, so it won't double book. So if, let's say you have a meeting from 2 to 3, Calendly knows not to show any open slots from 2 to 3. So we are just going to hit continue, and then of course just keep this as is, add events to that specific calendar. So just go ahead and keep on hitting continue. And then for this, we can choose our availability. So in this case, I just put, my business hours. But again, because we have already connected our calendar to Calendly knows to pick up those interferences with the other events. So sometimes for me, my days from Monday to Friday, they look completely different from each other. So some days I will have more open slots than others, but go ahead and just choose your hours. We're just going to continue on with this. And if anything changes, you can always go back and change these hours. And then Calendly just kind of likes to see who is using this. So in this case, for real estate, we're just going to go with sales and marketing and hit finish. Okay, so that was really super easy and simple. Now you can go through a quick tour to understand navigation, because Calendly has completely, since I started using this platform, they have completely transformed their user interface. So all of this is completely new. So I literally learned the new interface yesterday. So this video is fresh. You're getting this fresh. We just signed up with a free version. So usually with the free version of Calendly, you have the ability to create multiple events, but you can only have one event open at one time, versus if you have the paid version of Calendly, you can have multiple events and have multiple events turned on. And you'll kind of understand that when you start to use this platform. First, you have we're in event types, and then once you have people starting to use your link here, it will show you the scheduled events. So what's going to be upcoming, what's pending, what are the past calls that you've already taken, and just keeping a track of everything that you have scheduled into your calendar, essentially. Now, workflows is typically for those with, again, the premium, the paid version. Now, routing is typically only used for teams. So in this case, routing, let's say, depending on the questionnaire that the client has filled out, it might send them to a call with somebody in the marketing department. It might send them to a call in the accounting department. So routing is typically used for teams, so we won't really worry about that for real estate. And then here you have analytics. So it's going to show you, again, the analytics of your events. How many calls are you taking? How many calls are you booking? How many calls have you completed? It's just kind of nice to have. This is completely new to me too, because we never really had this previously before. So it's nice to see how many calls you're taking in a month, in a week, and seeing if, in comparison to canceled events and things like that. Now here is down here, availability. Again, we just kind of did that with your 9 to 5 hours. You can completely change this up as you'd like. You can create a different set of hours, whatever you would like. Again, I don't really worry about this too much, because since it's already connected to my Google Calendar, I know that it's not going to double book me for events that I already have. Before we start to create events in Calendly, what you first want to make sure is you check for calendar interference, so that way you do not get double booked. So we want to go up into the right corner over here, click on our profile, and look for calendar sync. Now you can add up to 6 different calendars to Calendly, but again, when we signed up with Calendly, we just use our Google profile, which makes it easy because you were already connected to your Google Calendar. Now, what we're going to go into is our Google Calendar here, and as you see, this is completely blank. Now, typically when I time block with Google Calendar, I create multiple calendars over here. Now, in this case, to do that, we just go up to the settings menu, this coggle up here, click on that, hit settings there, and then go to here, add calendar, click that open, and then we are going to create a new calendar. In this case, I'm just going to name this specific calendar or time block buyer showings. Go ahead and give this a description if you want to, but just go ahead and create calendar. And then give it a second. And then you'll see buyer showings over here. And if we go back to our main calendar, you can see that it shows up right here. And if you want to change the color, you can go ahead and click those 3 dots. Go ahead and give it a different color if you want to, and boom, there you go. Now let's say we are working with active buyers and we know that we have showings during specific hours. So we can say we have a showing from 12 to 2. We can go buyer showing. Go ahead and select the calendar. In this case, it's buyer showing. We have that time there. And let's say we have another slot over here from 2 to 5. That's a big session. Buyer showings. Go ahead and change that calendar to buyer showing. So now we have time plots in our calendar. And so if we go back into Calendly, I just want to give this a quick refresh. what we want to make sure is that we are checking for conflicts. Now notice over here, check for conflicts. We want to go up to this edit button. Go ahead and click on that, and now you'll see this buyer showing calendar that we just created on Google. So we want to go ahead and toggle this on and hit update, because what we want to tell Calendly is to know that if we have buyer showings on our calendar, do not show open time slots for these hours. So you want to go up to the right corner over here, click on that and hit profile. This is where you can add in your profile image. So just go ahead and just take something from your desktop. I'm just make sure that this fits the whole page, just like that. You can go in and add in your position as well. You can also put in real estate agent with eXp Realty. This is where you can also customize your welcome message, where people will see what is on your booking menu. I'm just going to put this in here, just a little tidbit. And then you can also change the date format, time format. I typically just like the 12-hour AM PM, and then make sure that your time zone is proper according to where you are, and just make sure you hit save changes at the bottom. Now, one more thing we can go into is the branding section over here. And again, you can upload your logo, just something like that. I'm just going to hit apply, and there you go. Now, just to reiterate in regards to the free and paid version of Calendly, if you have the paid version of Calendly, you can turn off the Calendly branding so it doesn't appear or display on your scheduling page. Now, currently with this account that we just signed up with, we have a free trial for the premium version for, I believe, the first 30 days. Don't quote me on that, but currently we have a free trial, which is why we are allowed to turn this off. And again, save changes. The wonderful thing about Calendly is the fact that we can integrate other applications with Calendly. So if you go down here, you'll see integrations and apps on the main dashboard homepage. And if we scroll down to the bottom, for me personally, I only have integrated Zoom down here. Now, if you click on this, you just go ahead and connect to Zoom. Just click on that, and it's going to prompt you to sign into your Zoom account. Now, you want to make sure preferably you have the paid version of Zoom, because if you have meetings over 45 minutes, it will just cut off. But I believe you can still use Calendly with the free version of Zoom. But I just recommend, if you're in real estate, just pay for these services because you will need them, I promise you. So it's a really seamless integration. Just sign in and you're pretty much set to go. So if I have already connected this Zoom account to a different Calendly, so I'm not going to do that. But what I will show you is this. So when you connect Calendly to Zoom, what it's going to do is these two applications are going to communicate to each other. So if someone books into your calendar, Calendly will talk to Zoom to tell Zoom to make a unique meeting link. So over here, I have a email notification from Calendly that somebody has booked into my calendar this time and this date. And then Zoom will automatically create this Zoom link. So this is an email notification from Calendly. Do you see how awesome that is? So highly recommend you integrate Zoom with Calendly. To create an event, we can just either click up here or click over here. It doesn't really matter. It's going to take us into this window, and typically what I create is just the one-on-one kind of event, but you can see you have different kinds of events depending on your choice and depending on if you are with teams in this case. But this is pretty much sufficient. This is the only thing I use, is just the one-on-one. The host is myself. I'm just going to click next. Now it's going to take you into this new event type window, and this is where you can change out the colors so you don't get confused as to which event is which. So I highly recommend you color code them. In this case, we are going to be doing a complimentary buyer consultation. So I'm just going to paste this in here, and it pops up right here. So this is basically your preview. Now, typically I just like to do 30-minute meetings. I think that's a sufficient amount of time, but you do you choose what you would like. In this case, in regards to the location, typically for me, I always choose Zoom meetings, but this is totally up to you. And the interesting thing is you can actually have multiple locations. So it can be pretty much a drop-down menu or a multiple choice question of where your client wants to have the meeting. Okay, so in this case, I am just going to go with in-person meeting, and then you can put office here, and you can include additional information as to actually where this address is, which I recommend. Go ahead and do that. Then we're going to hit continue, and it's going to bring you into this window. Now, first things first, I want to go in and give this a bit of a summary as to what this call is. So I just have some notes prepared on the side here, and I'm just going to paste it in. So as you can see here, it is populated here. So you just want to have some information and text instructions, if you will, so this person booking into knows exactly what this call is in regards to time and location. Now go ahead and just save and close. And so that was the event details. We have finished all of those fields there. Now we're going to go into the host and invites. Now, this I would consider to toggle on allow invites to add guests. So in case you have a client booking in and they have a partner, they most likely will want to also include their partner into that call or into that event, so they also can have that event onto their calendar as well. So I like to keep that on, save and close. And then we're going to go into scheduling settings right over here. Now, typically for me, I like to keep my meetings pretty tight, anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days. So I'm just going to go a rolling 30 calendar days. You can also choose within a date range or indefinitely into the future. Don't really recommend. I like to keep it tight because you have less chance of cancellations, if you will. Now, if we go down here, we'll see available hours here. Again, this is copying our hours that we chose at the beginning when we created our Calendly account. So these are just our working weekly hours, if you will. And then here we have event limits, so buffer time. So this is essentially giving you time before and after the call, so you don't have any back-to-back meetings, if you will. So this is really helpful for me in terms of Zoom, because sometimes, back-to-back meetings on Zoom can be quite a lot. So I like to give myself a bit of a buffer in between. Now, what's really important for me is this minimum notice here. So how much time do you want before somebody can book a call with you? Now, typically for me, I like to do a full day or 24 hours. So we can go within 24 hours notice. So I like to be prepared, and I don't like to have surprise meetings. So I put 24 hours, but you can definitely up that or reduce that with whatever you're comfortable with. Now here we have daily limits. So this is how many people can book into your calendar per day. For me, I go anywhere from 2 to 3. I don't really like to sit on too many meetings, so sometimes I just do just 2 for the day. And then additional options, time zone display. We are using the invitees time zone, because for me particularly, I talk to real estate agents from all around, from Canada, from the United States, and so sometimes we're in different time zones, and I want to make sure that Calendly is showing their time zone, and then when they book a meeting, it's going to show their time zone, and it's going to show my time zone on my notifications, so we will be able to show up at the right time, essentially. So, but if you wanted to change it, you can go ahead, but automatically detect and show times in that invitees time zone. So I'm just going to keep that as is. And again, the start time increments are going to be the 30 minutes. I think that is pretty sufficient for the time slots for the invitees. So go ahead and save and close. Now going down, we are in the booking page options. Now this is where we can ask different questions before they're able to book into our calendar and things like that. So here we are creating a specific type or the event link. So in this case, I like to just make this pretty simple and short. So it's pulling the full title of the event, but in this case, we're just going to go buyer consultation. And then invitee name here. I typically like to click on these 3 dots here because I want to ask for both first name and last name. I'm just going to hit done there. And again here, allow invitees to add guest. That's already turned on. And then here is where we can ask our questions per se. Now you have upwards of, I believe, 10 questions to ask before that person is able to book into your call. Now, I recommend to have less than 5, you really want to make it easy and simple for people to book a call with you, but you still want to ask questions that you're able to prepare yourself coming into this meeting, especially when it comes to real estate and talking to potential clients. Now, you can do whatever you like. I highly recommend just simple, radio buttons, in this case, multiple choice question answers, so they can just, boom, 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 answer the questions, book a call with you. Now, just for the sake of this, I am just going to put this here, and we can require this on. In this case, we're going to do radio buttons. So, because this is a buyer's consultation, maybe you want to know if they are a first-time home buyer, or if they are an experienced buyer, so they've bought and sold real estate before, or perhaps they are looking to relocate to your state, your country, your province, or perhaps they are an investor. Oop, there we go. And another thing that I like to do is add this include another option in case they don't fall into one of these 4 categories. And I'm just going to put this status as on, meaning I want to ask this question. And so at this point, you just click done. Now, again, you can add in multiple different questions as well. You just add new down there. And in this case, a question that I always like to ask is, are you working with a real estate agent? Require that. In this case, we can just make this either yes or no and delete this one. And again, you can ask other preliminary questions as well. Again, I don't recommend anything more than 5 because it seems to be really intimidating if you ask any more of those questions. Now, depending on if you have this right here, collect payment, not necessary because typically freelance workers use this kind of platform to book, times with people like coaching calls and things like that. So that is, you don't need that on there. And then here we have after booking, display Calendly confirmation page, which I recommend to do so they know that they properly booked a call with you. And then it tells you on that page whether they have successfully booked a call with you and to check their email for the event details and things like that. So in this case, we don't need to do anything else here. We're just going to save and close. Now at this point, the last block here is the communications tab. Now, right now, because we have created a free account with Calendly using this new email address, it has given us, I believe, a free trial. So we are actually going to get the full realm of these notifications per se. So typically with the free version of Calendly, you're not able to do text reminders and things like that, or have different workflows. So this is more advanced stuff. But again, we have a free trial right now. So typically, again, with the paid version, we can have all of these turned on. Now here, calendar invitations, I typically like to do email confirmations, right? Because sometimes you might be using a different calendar. In my case, I'm using a Google Calendar. That other person might be using a different kind of calendar. So in this case, I want this to be coming from my email address. So it's going to be coming from the email address that we have created Calendly with. And you can go in and just change things around, add in your own verbiage if you want. But this is basically the default version of the notification and the email notification when somebody books a call in with you. And you can add in your cancellation policy if you want to. Very high level stuff, not necessary at all, but important that you do have email confirmations. Highly recommend, save and close. So those confirmations are when somebody books into your calendar and they will immediately get a notification saying that, hey, you have booked a calendar with Laressa at this time. Here is the location of the call, this and that. And then email reminders, I typically like to turn these on so we can give them a reminder. So if we click on the 3 dots again, we just turned it on, hit edit. Now we can obviously again have this from the host's email. You can go around and change some of the text here, but I typically just leave it as the default. And then if you want to, you can add an additional reminder. So you can have it 24 hours out, or you can have a couple hours before the event as well. So I just typically leave it at just the 24 hours before and then just save and close. Now again, if you do have the paid version of Calendly, which I highly recommend that you invest in, we can turn on text reminders. So if I toggle this on, click the 3 dots, hit edit, and this is what the verbiage will look like. Again, you can go in and change this to your liking, and I always like to put in brackets no reply, because if they text back to this number, you're not going to see that notification. So just put that in there, and you only have 180 characters, I believe. And typically I like to put this as 24 hours before, and I like to do a 1 hour before reminder, and then pretty much just hit save and close. Again, you can only have text reminders if you have the paid version of Calendly. Now, email follow-up, you can have this on if you want to. I typically don't. I manually follow up with that person anyways, whether it's just text or email. So that's kind of that. Now, if you, again, have the paid version of Calendly, you can go into these different kind of workflows. This is more high level stuff where you can create your own trigger of events per se, but I'm just going to leave it at this with just email confirmation, email reminders, and text reminders, and then you're pretty much set to go. So I'm just going to hit save and close. And so now that is pretty much it for all those sections to build out your event. Now, if we just hit done, it's going to take us to the home page again. Now, as mentioned, we have a free trial with Calendly. So typically with the free version, you can have multiple events, but you can only have one turned on. So in this case, this should be turned off. Now, one thing to note is that you can make events private if you want to, or you can actually clone and delete. So by making them private, you have to actually go into that booking page or booking event type again and go up to this coggle here and make a secret. Now, why is that significant? Well, sometimes if you give people your full link here, so if we click on here, if we click this open, it's going to show you your menu of calls. So let me go ahead and turn this back on so you can see what I mean by menu of calls. If I refresh this page, it's going to show us those menu of calls, right? And so typically they can just go ahead and click here and book a time with you. Now, sometimes, let's say you don't want to have these calls public. Sometimes you want to create just a one-off open calendar meeting like I do. And sometimes I create different events. And again, I don't want them to be public. So what I do is I just make them a secret like this. And so if I refresh this page, it's not going to be on my menu. And so in this case, if I want to share my calendar with a potential buyer, all I do is just either copy link, hit share here, and just copy the link and text or email them that link so it is direct to them to give them access. Before I even send out any links to potential clients or people that want to book into my calendar, I first like to demo this myself to make sure that everything is working accordingly to how I want it to. So I'm going to demo this for you. So let's go ahead and view booking page. It's going to take us to this specific event. Now, first we want to make sure is that Calendly is properly synced with our calendar and it's reading our calendar and knowing when and where to show open time slots. Now, if we go back to our calendar here, we can see that we have block times from 12 to 2 on Wednesday and 2 to 5 on Friday. So we want to make sure that those times are not available. So as you can see here, from 11 to 2:30, there are no times in between. And if we go to the Friday there are no calls available after 1 p.m. Now, note that if we take a look at the Thursday here, we can see all of the open time slots from 9 to 5 because that is what we set our working hours as. Now, let's go ahead and just book a call and simulate this. So we are just going to just put in our name here, add in our email address, and you can see here they can add a guest in as well. So if we click on this add guest, they can add up to 10 additional guests. And so as you can see here, we have an asterisk here, which means this is both required questions. So just hit whatever that is, hit no, and send text messages to. Again, this is only an available field if you have the paid version of Calendly, because this is what is going to give you those text reminders and those notifications that you have an event coming up. So this is text messages to the invitee. So I'm just going to put my phone number here. And then at this point, all you want to do is just go ahead and schedule the event. And then once your client has booked into your calendar, it's going to bring them to this page here, and it's going to say a calendar invitation has been sent to your email address. So I'm going to give this a second and pull up that notification. All right, so this is what the invitation looks like when the client gets the notification. It shows them the time and the date. It also shows them what they answered for the questions over here, and for them to add this to their calendar if it didn't already automatically add. So that is wonderful about Calendly, is all these little automations. And of course, because we had put into our event here, depending on what we set for the notifications in the communication section, they should get a email notification 24 hours before the event. And if you have text reminders on, 24 hours before the event and 1 hour before the event. And of course, remember how we connected our Google Calendar to Calendly. We can now see that when somebody books onto your calendar, it is automatically placed to your calendar over here, the call we just booked right now, this one here, and it shows you the location, in this case, physical office location. If you did have a Zoom call linked to Calendly, the Zoom call unique link would be created right here on this page. And then you can also see more information about this call as well. And then of course, if the client accepts this invitation, it will also show onto their calendar as well. So really easy and seamless. This is a wonderful integration that you need to implement into your business. You want to go to your settings on Apple here. Typically what you want to look for is text replacement, this one right here. And all we're really going to be doing here is just going up to this plus button here. And in this case, the phrase has to be the URL link. So if we go back to our computer here, we need to, in this case, I'm just going to grab this link here, copy this, go back to our iPad, and we're just going to paste that in. And then in this case, you want to choose some kind of, shortcut in your brain that you will recognize as this specific link. So I'm going to do CAL. Yes. Hopefully I did this right, because sometimes I confuse where to put the link. So I'm going to hit save. So remember, we did CAL space. There we go. We have our calendar link. All right, friends, that is it for today's video. And you know what it is, you know what to do. Comment down below, #NCrew. Right here. Comment down below, #NCrew if you made it to the end of this video, because this video was long and I did not expect this video to be that long. I'm so sorry. But please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your real estate friends, because I know that Calendly can seem kind of intimidating and there is a lot to get going with the front end startup and the admin side of things. But once you have it done and ready to go, you are off to the races. And if you want to learn how to embed your Calendly into your Linktree and onto CANVA websites, then check out these videos right over here. Right here. And if you're ready, get ready to click in 3, 2, 1.